Hello there, people of the internet. That sun is right in my eyes. I'm doing a little video series where I talk about a bunch of different cartridges for hunting purposes. I'm doing this in an effort to make my way up to 100,000 subscribers, so hey, if you want to get in on that and you like this kind of content, by all means go ahead and subscribe. So I'm doing this in conjunction with another piece of the same video series where I go through all of my guns and I talk about the history and development and whatnot. So if you want to be a part of that too, then this is the place for it. I have been told over the years numerous times about people using 7.62 by 54 rimmed out of something like this right here. This is a Mosin Nagant, however it is you feel like pronouncing that. I'm always yelled at and told I'm wrong. But people have been telling me in the gun community that they use that cartridge very successfully for all of their hunting purposes. And that makes sense. It is an incredibly powerful, incredibly potent cartridge. As a matter of fact, I have a couple of numbers here on my charts written down. Now, the thing with commercial ammo is that there is no set in stone velocity or bullet weight or anything like that for your commercially produced ammunition. So this right here is going to be rough numbers. Whenever it comes to 7.62 by 54 rimmed, we're going to go ahead and talk about the military loadings first. There's going to be two different kinds. It's going to be regular ball and light ball ammunition. Regular ball ammunition is going to be a 174 grain projectile that's going to be traveling at about 2,700 or so feet per second. Now this 2,700 feet per second, 174 grain projectile at the muzzle is going to have about 2,300 foot-pounds of energy onto its target, which is a significant enough amount of energy onto its target to be able to put down basically most of your game, including a fair amount of large game, especially with proper shot placement. Now your lighter weight 147 to 150 grain projectiles out of your full length Mosin, like this 9130 what I have here, and it's going to be traveling at roughly 3,000 feet per second, and it's going to have roughly 3,000 foot-pounds of energy onto its target. That right there is a lighter weight bullet, and it does have more energy going onto its target, but well, there's definitely some pros and cons for using lighter weight versus heavier weight bullets. Now there's just the military loadings. Whenever we go into commercial loadings, things are going to fluctuate quite a bit. For example, if we bump up our bullet weight up to a 180 grain projectile coming out of our Mosin, that's going to be traveling at about 2,500-ish feet per second, and that should produce about 2,600-ish foot-pounds of energy onto its target. I have seen sources where the 180 grain travels faster and slower, so I rounded it out to about 2,500 feet per second, but it really depends on the brand of ammunition that you get and the barrel length of the rifle it is that you're shooting it out of. I know if you have a rifle that has been counterbored, then you actually lose a couple of inches of barrel length because the gas can now go around the counterboard section of that barrel. So now we bump it up even a little bit more to a heavier weight projectile. A 200 grain projectile should be coming out of the Mosin, if it's still chambered in 7.62 by 54 rimmed, at about 2,300 feet per second. Now this increased bullet mass is going to be delivering about 2,450 foot-pounds of energy onto its target at the muzzle. So we go from, of course, lighter weight bullets are going to be traveling faster, heavier bullets are going to be traveling just a wee bit slower, but pretty much all of these loadings at the muzzle should be capable enough at taking out basically all of the game that I would find here in Florida and most of your game that you would find here, at least in North America. I wouldn't necessarily trust it against a charging rhinoceros or something like that unless you're rocking like really heavyweight bullets, and especially ones that are perhaps solid brass or solid copper to get maximum penetration with those bullets. Bullet construction absolutely matters, and there's a lot of different variations of bullet construction for 7.62 by 54 rimmed, just because there's so many different variants out there. For the most part, you're going to find either 150 grain to 180 grain if we're talking commercial loadings for 7.62 by 54 rimmed, or somewhere around that ballpark. I know the 174 grain is technically not 180 grain, but it's close enough to that ballpark. Or 147, 148 grain is technically not 150 grain, but it's close enough to that ballpark. You're going to find bullet weights for around those areas of bullet size. There are some 200 grain bullets out there on the market, and I've even seen them bumped up to as heavy as 220 grain. So they definitely do exist. This right here is a 311 diameter projectile, if memory serves me correct. So in order to get proper rifling engagement, you cannot use just a standard 308 bullet like what we have here inside of the United States that are 308 Winchester and our 30-06 and our 30-30 Winchester. All of these rounds, or all these cartridges, take a 308 diameter bullet. 7.62 by 54 rimmed is a 311 diameter bullet. So just bear that in mind. If you're a reloader, you got to find the right kind of projectile. So yeah, this right here is absolutely 110% adequate and capable to being able to handle basically all of the game that you would come across. They wouldn't exactly go squirrel hunting with this right here because it might turn it into mist, but if you want to dispatch of a squirrel, then this would absolutely dispatch of that squirrel. If you're looking for deer, 7.62 by 54 rimmed absolutely packs way enough of a punch to be able to take out deer. If you want to go big game hunting, then heavyweight projectiles, which are produced for this, would definitely be a good ideal way to go. So all of this being said, I actually have a 147 grain tool ammo round. We're going to go ahead and send that downrange at our water jug right here, and we're going to watch that round basically turn this water jug into mist, just to kind of show off the power of the full power rifle 7.62 by 54 rimmed. Got some rust starting to show up on this Mosin. I'm going to have to... I got some rust starting to show up on this Mosin. I'm going to have to oil it here before too terribly long. Okay, let me go ahead and throw my ears on. We're going to go ahead and send this round. This would be classified as light ball ammo if we're considering it from a military loading, even though this is more or less a commercial version of ammunition. All right, 54 rimmed versus a water jug. We're only at about, I don't know, 10 yards or so. So I have no doubts in my mind at all that this round is going to be plenty potent enough to be able to take out that water jug. Let's send a round at it. Oh boy, that absolutely turned that thing into water vapor. The water jug is like in 6 pieces now. So yeah, if you're going to go after small-ish game, small versions of medium game, or just small game in general, then you might want something a little less powerful if you want anything left of that game. Because as we can see, there's a lot of power behind 7.62 by 54 rimmed, and that single round is probably about 4 feet inside of the dirt now. So just bear that in mind, depending on the game it is that you want and how much of that game you want left. This right here might be a little bit too much power going through that. I know with it rocking that 150 grain projectile at approximately 3,000 feet per second, that is about on par with 30-06. So the 7.62 by 54 rimmed is a pretty potent, pretty powerful round. Okay, well, all of that being said, I think that this right here has pretty much served as accurate representation enough. It has turned that water jug into literally nothing. So I'm going to go ahead and say thanks for watching, folks. I appreciate your time. Yes, you absolutely can hunt with 7.62 by 54 rimmed. I would recommend, if you're going for deer, go for headshots so you don't like destroy a good portion of the meat that you would normally get. That would just be my recommendation, because that is a powerful round, especially if you're rocking soft points or expanding rounds or something like that. Lots of energy transferred onto that target. Anyway, I'm gonna ramble. Thanks for watching, folks. I appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below has a link to all sorts of stuff. Go check it out. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day. In all honesty, just for the areas I'm at and the ranges that I shoot at and the amount of power I need, I'd say that 7.62 by 39 is probably going to be the best hunting cartridge, all things considered. I'll probably make a video specifically on that though, but that will be later on. I hear mosquitoes around me. Now I'm getting all paranoid. I'm going to go inside, have some whiskey, settle in for the night. Go away, you bastards. Oh God, they're everywhere now. Yep, it's that time. Been a little while since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. Poor man's Garen. It's a shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.